some of them here to answer all of our questions about Battle for Beyond. Welcome back to D&D Beyond Live with my very special guests, the GM, the creator of the world, the master of the twist. Please welcome Jasmine Bhullar. Hello, how's it going?
Hi.
Our druid slash asterisk, woman of mystery, devoted scholar, the great Cestia, as played by Aabria Iyengar. Welcome.
Hi.
And finally, the ferocious, hiding many intriguing secrets of her own. Please welcome our battlemaster, Radina, aka Josephine McAdam.
Carry me, mommy.
So,
anytime.
Thank you all so much for joining me on the stream today. We are going to talk through all of our questions after we have now absorbed and shared all 6 episodes of Battle for Beyond. I am so thrilled y'all could join me to hang out and talk through some of this stuff. So please, if you're watching this right now live in chat, throw some questions at us. And the amazing mods are going to fling those my way so that I can sprinkle them in as we go on today's show. So first of all, just because I haven't gotten to ask this, big thoughts, big reactions, it's all out there. How do you feel, Jasmine?
Wow, Amy, way to fucking throw me under the bus. It's weird because I think like, Amy, you know this. After every episode, I was a wreck. I'd be like, hey, it's horrible, Amy. What if I just got on a plane and left and didn't come back to set?
Look, you're right about a lot of things, but occasionally might have
yeah. And you were like, no, it's good. And I was like, no, what if I just leave during lunch and I don't come back? Like, how mad would you
Jasmine?
be?
Jasmine, that's the biggest mood. I feel that on an atomic level.
Yeah.
You're perfect and it was wonderful, but I do also experience that every time I DM.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. And
what
I
a vibe.
Amy,
Yeah.
I said, if I leave during lunch and I don't come back, how mad will you be? And she said, I would be worried for you. That's what she said. And I was like, that's when I knew Amy was like the greatest human being of all time. She wouldn't even be mad. She would just be worried about me. That's so cute.
Truly.
But then getting all the tweets and the comments this week about how much people loved it, I'm like, well, shit, I guess I got to text Amy and give her a free soda because Amy was right. Apparently it was a lot better than I thought it was. So yeah, now that it's out there, I'm happy. Like I think like a lot of that stress is gone. And people got it because there's sometimes like, you know, you don't have a live studio audience, you don't have a live chat. And so you don't know if like the themes you're trying to hit are hitting. And somebody predicted the plot after episode 1. And that's when I was like, okay, well, that's just like me slamming my dick on the table of how good my narrative is, because I think a good puzzle is one that you can conceivably solve. I think that if you do not have enough hooks and undercurrents in there that the plot comes out of, or the twist comes out of left field, you failed as a writer. So when someone got like 75% of the twists or the conceit of the battle correct after this, I think it was the second episode, that's when I told Joe, I was like, I think we did our job, because a puzzle you can solve is a good puzzle.
It's like, what do they call it? A fair play mystery? Like when they're talking in the mystery genre, like there's different styles, and that's the one that like you could solve it, but since I'm not Agatha Christie, I never can. But you know, it's still fun. Later on, I'm like, I nearly called that for sure.
Yeah. Like when you rewatch the movie or reread the book, you see all of the hooks and it makes perfect sense. Like, you know,
100%.
Love that.
Hey, Jasmine, can you just lean in and tell this to anyone working on Westworld right now? Like, please.
Yeah, right? No one likes the Deus Ex Machina type of, there's no way you could have seen this coming. I don't like that. Most people don't like that. I want to see it coming. I should, that way I could still be like, oh, you got me. Clever.
Exactly. But that just means, like you said, like you're laying down the track in a way that makes sense. Like if people come to the right conclusions, you're doing your job right. And like, there were still so many surprises like throughout the story that like, yeah, it's just good. I'm just going to keep complimenting Jasmine every time I unmute. So I'm going to mute again and get my next one ready to go.
Well, we will do okay, big thoughts. Josephine, the whole thing is out there. People can watch and enjoy it. How you feeling?
You know, I feel good. I feel really good about it now that it's done. I was same I was a bundle of like anxiety like almost every day. Jasmine knows, and it's just like it's really nice to have seen it come out and do so well and just, I already knew when I was sitting there that it was going to be wonderful, but to know that um I wasn't just a giant like hornball the entire time. Not the entire time. It was really great to see it. I don't know. I had so much fun. I had no doubts when I was sitting there that it was going to be an incredible story because I feel like every time I'm at a table for Jasmine's storytelling and you have such incredible players as well, it's like I just get to be an audience member for so much of it already. I was like, this is going to be so good and I can't wait for people to see it. And it's great to see the reception that it did get.
All right, same question to Bria. How you feeling? Whole thing's in the rearview mirror.
Oh my gosh. I'm just so elated that people like resonated with our characters because I think that was the only thing. I was never worried about it because again, like the table is stacked in every possible way. Everyone like in front and behind the camera was just the best that's doing it. So there was never any fear other than like, do we have enough time to make the audience care about all of us and the world
Mm.
and this like potential like PvP conceit and like all of our like connections to like our individual backstories and the ability to like again just like both at the table and behind the DM screen, everyone was just firing on all the right cylinders and everyone like got their moments and we got the world and it all just felt so cared for. That was a season that was both like 6 episodes, which is wild, and also felt like it was like hundreds of hours because we got so much done. It was just really good and I'm just deeply impressed. And I feel like, I don't know, we all play a lot of RPGs. It's hard to be like really impressed still. So this was just truly, it was just an honor and a pleasure to like be a part of. And again, like be an audience member too and watch unfold from where I was sitting.
Uh, Thank you. I'm seeing the questions coming in already, which is very exciting. Let's see. I'm going to throw it right to, I'm going to put him on the spot to my coworker, Michael Galvez, with his question. What was your favorite character moment? And I'm going to throw it back to Josephine first.
Oh my goodness. Favorite character moment of my
Mm-hmm.
own or just at the table?
Your choice.
Oh no. Too many options. Uh I still I still just love on I guess it was episode 2. The first day that we were filming though, was Nikhil's introduction because I had zero um expectations of what he was going to do or act like or be, and how much he embodied exactly what Jasmine had set up by other NPCs describing him. He just embodied that to a T, and I just like loved seeing the character develop like at that moment, minute by minute, as it just like got worse and worse and worse and expanded, and just was like, wow, this is the worst, but also like you can tell there's something there. Like you just it creates so much depth in that same time. And he's all just peeling potatoes. I don't know. I laughed so much getting to watch it too. The second time I love that moment so much. I love good, character intros, I think is where you get, hooked in too. So I thought that one
I
was incredible.
This is probably going to sound strange, but you know those like things that you get when you're a kid where like it's like a little capsule and you drop it into water and then it like blossoms into a dinosaur shape in front of your
Yes.
eyes?
Hmm.
I
Yes.
feel like that's a little bit the
Shrinky
feeling of
dinks?
watching. I yes. I feel like that's a bit the feeling of watching these characters where you're just like, what? Oh my gosh! A perfect silhouette coming
Yeah,
right into
yeah,
focus,
What is that?
like a
Oh,
magic trick.
a whole mess is what it is. Got it.
yeah.
Yes. A disaster
Uh,
Yes.
bisexual. Oh, good, good, good.
I will. I'm going to make everybody answer these questions eventually, but I want to take that segue into putting the show together and building up these characters. Jasmine, how did you talk with folks about making
Mhm.
these choices or approaching putting together their battlers?
I'm trying to think. So I feel like for the most part, everyone kind of had their own idea of what they wanted to do, and I kind of let them know what kind of setting we were roughly going to be in. But for the most part, I gave everyone a lot of freedom on their characters because I did want it to seem like people were coming from very foreign areas to Holocaust. And that involved me not having like a hand in everyone's character creation, if that makes sense. I did work with Erika on kind of how we were gonna incorporate Layla's story into the greater scheme of things. But what's interesting is like Erika, the player, did not have as much knowledge as Nick Hill did because Nick Hill, like Brennan kind of came in and just said, I want to play a native. And I didn't actually expect anybody to say that because I was like, okay, this is confusing or this is not confusing. This is complicated because it's like, how do I give him enough information to make him seem like he reasonably is from here, but also not have like the entire plot spoiled for him. And so I had to
Right.
think really hard about, well, what do locals know about this competition? And I remember talking to him a little bit, like, we kind of workshopped this together about how natives feel about this competition, and it was like, "Well, we're kind of like resort workers." And coming from India, I know exactly what that's like, right? I'm sure Hawaiians can relate. Any place like this, Fiji, where people come in and they have, like, more money than you, more resources than you, and they put their values or what they want above what you want, right? Like, they're here to win this contest and it's your job to fold towels and make it because they're staying at your resort kind of. And the more we like peeled away at that and the more we kind of embodied that in the story, I think the more people caught on to like how, I don't know, to some of those themes. But so I worked closely with him because he was like, just give me everything and I'll download it into my brain. And I was like, everything? He was like, yes. So I just sent him so much of the back lore, and then I could not stop like laughing because then in the game he'd be like, "Yeah, I don't remember all that," and I'd be like, God, fucking damn it. So then I'd still have to explain it to him in character, even though he did know. So like
Yeah.
when Nick
Oh
Hill goes
yeah.
through that character growth of like, no, I do remember these gods' names and all this stuff. He knew the whole time. He was just playing it like that. And I just would laugh. I'd be like, okay, yeah, I know you have the notes in front of you. And I know you've already memorized them because you're Brennan Lee Mulligan and your brain is so big and wrinkly. Um, but yeah, it was cool. It was cool. Those were the 2 characters I worked the closest on, and everyone else, kind of came, like, with a fully fleshed out character concept, and then I manipulated the story to torture them, as I do.
I will say, for folks watching this who might not yet have sat down and made it through all 6 episodes of Battle for Beyond, I would encourage you to hit pause on this, open up a new tab, and come back here afterwards because we are going full spoilers on this.
Go away. Don't be here right now. Look at me. Go away right now. Bye.
So let's talk about some of those twists and surprises. Aabria, can you talk about creating Cestia and then Cestia at the end takes a very fun turn.
Uh, Ceci, okay, so we are doing this very nice thing where we're all being super professional about like all our process. Everyone here knows that the truth is, I was the latest with my homework. I was very tardy to the party, and like we were like, I don't know, 14 days into filming, and I was like, okay, who do I email? I have my character idea. So it took me a very long time to like turn in my homework, but I think my guiding design principle was I love Brennan with my whole heart, and we've played D&D before, and just coming off of like playing with him several times in a row, I was like, all right, if we're gonna fight, the only thing, and I've said this before in another interview, I was like, I'm not getting dropped by him, so I'm gonna build a character that one is gonna be like weirdly good in a fight, but doesn't really know it until she's pushed for it, which is, by the way, why my character kept running off the map and doing the same spell over and over. I was like, I'm not showing you everything I have until we start killing each other. And then I'm going to pull out everything I have. So it was sandbagging a little bit. But I think the thing I loved the most was as we were starting to like dip back into the lore and backstory. I remember that moment where I like made eye contact with Jasmine, and she was like, and I was like, okay, I have an email to send you. Like, let's talk about like Tavayo and like all of those really amazing things. Just like I was like, yeah, you can like do whatever you want to him. Like, please hurt me. There's no more like big DM energy being a player than being like, ruin my life. And
Okay, but playing
look away from me
Tavayo
while
was
you
a
do
lot
it.
of fun. Playing
Look, you described
Tavayo
him
was
as perfect.
like,
I was like, you can kill my character off. Do it. This is good for me. I love this.
I think I remember saying like well moisturized. And I was like,
Yes, that was the moment I was like, well, leave me. This is
he's
good.
moisturized
Iffy
and
and
he
I were
smells like
laughing about that a
saffron,
lot.
you know?
He's hot and good and perfect. Yeah. Hey guys, I'm done with the narrative. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye. This is my stop. This is where I park my car.
Truly, the episode 5 cliffhanger like is I will always remember my own stress of being like, Abria's too good a player. She's just gonna let it happen. If she's gonna die in here, she's just gonna make me cry for the rest of my life, and that's how it's gonna go. Just laying my cards on the table, I was just like, ah. And of course, it worked out beautifully. When you had to choose your path, what guided you on your deal making?
Ooh. Uh, I think it was trying to learn the lesson that was kind of put out as like the story unfolded, and we were deciding between artificer and bard. And I think if God, just the arc words of like we live forever as legends, and I was like, oh, I can't get away from that. That's so like interesting and important. That like, of course, when faced with this idea of like Cestia as a like a circle of stars druid and being very like fate driven and fate more motivated, I think she moved from a space of going like, well, everything that's going to happen is decided by this thing external to myself, and moving towards like self actualization was like, no, we're the sum of the stories that we tell about ourselves and the things that we tell about each other. So Bard felt like the natural fit. Also, I just like playing charisma casters, so that seemed good and fun, and I did that.
Jasmine, did you always have in pocket that this was a potential deal option? Did you improv that on the fly? It was an amazing moment. What is there a backstory?
yeah, I mean, I thought that that was kind of like in the pipeline for something further down because when I flesh out pieces of a world, I flesh them out in their entirety. So I had designed these deities and I had thought about things other than warlock packs because I feel like that gets a little bit old. So I was like, okay, well, what would like bonding yourself to a deity look like in different forms? I didn't think it would come up in this, but then Aabria came to me on lunch and she's like, full disclosure, I don't think Cestia has any reason to leave here, and I know I'm gonna die. And how much would that fuck up your story? And how much will that fuck up the show? And that was the first time I had the idea for it where I was like, "Oh, maybe we can roll a die and see which deity would come to save her." And especially because there was this like also simmering like rivalry between Cestia and Layla where that would have evened the odds a little bit where like each of them are kind of fighting each other. But then Brennan had that interaction with the most chaotic gay of the deities, and it just worked out, right?
Yeah. I do. Can we talk about like that? Like part of that conversation when we were talking at lunch, I was like, "Oh, hey, uh, for the record, if my character dies, if you still want to do PvP, I would love to come back because she didn't die in the arena. I think it would be really fun to come back and be like, hey, did you want us to fight? I will happily rock up and be like, I haven't lost yet. She's only starry for him now, and she's gonna win." Like, so my other dream. I was like, oh, let me just kill all my friends, please. But then she lived, and that was fine too. Anyway, all of that to say, I would love to murder everyone at the table's characters. Season 2. Think about it.
Oh, you can murder me.
Stop
Murder me.
it!
Just an incredible
Never.
balance between Cestia, who is a cinnamon roll, and Aabria, who is just ready to kill or die at a moment's notice.
That's only I live my life a quarter mile at a time. Ah.
Josephine, can you talk to us about creating Radina, which I know you put a lot of amazing thought into, and how did she change over the course of the show?
Oh man. So I came in pretty late. I think it was the last cast member on, and so there were a lot of characters already made. And I was really just trying to balance out. I realized we had a lot of casters, and I wasn't really thinking probably as much as I should have about like, oh, would I be able to win in a fight? But but I was more just about like balancing because we're going to see a lot of casting already, and so I was like, oh, I want to. Why don't I just play classic fighter? We're also going into an arena, and it's just more about the like aesthetic and sort of, I wanted to be a gladiator for a second. And and then I try to pick different races like, that I haven't played yet, and I'd never played a Triton, and something about it I was like, well, that seems fun. I like never really see them come up that often either. Um and mixing this like sort of mermaid, selkie, like any folklore around the ocean with sort of like Celtic warriors as well, and like melding the two. And I don't know, I like to have a mix of like what might be like quote unquote like feminine or like masculine, like this strength, like a grit, and a also like um softness, and try to have both grit and softness in one go. And that was a challenge to myself, and I think like that's kind of like the ocean, right? Like you've got these crashing waves but also like serene waters, and so I was just trying to channel that into a character if I could. And yeah, I think the way that Merdina would have changed, I mean, she came in like very focused on what she wanted to do, although obviously she's easily distracted by beautiful women. But
Relatable.
I think that I think it was like Econ's words sort of made her change her tune over why does and Nikhil's story of just why does she deserve it more, over anyone else, and then being more stepping back a bit and saying, well, if I can help anyone here, then that's still sort of like in my same set of values as well, and just sort of backing away from it being, singular. So I think that's mainly the bigger shift that happened. And it happened pretty quickly. Like as soon as we were teamed up, like even 3-3, I was like, well, that's it. I do everything for you now. Say no more.
100%.
Just letting the party change you in that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
You clearly have a very intense backstory, but you gave it to us in these distilled, like incredibly powerful, like small, potent chunks. There's a better way to put that. But one of my favorite moments in the entire game was when Pelodio asked you what a casualty was. And you said it's
Mm-hmm.
something horrible you don't want to know, or well, you said it better than that. But as a performer, what advice would you give if for bringing across an ocean of deep backstory in little moments, if you even know how you do it, or maybe you're just magic and you just do it?
Look, yeah, I don't know that there's any special thing that I do at all. I think it's just like, we have 6 episodes, we have a lot of like incredible story to get through at the table, and um, I don't necessarily have to divulge everything. Plus, it also leaves the audience wondering what happened. So I like giving little tidbits, little morsels, like hints. And that's what, like early on when we were first at the spas, and Merdina's under the waters, obviously tormented by something. I actually like that we never got to touch upon what was going on, because I was like, oh, you know what? People would be like, wait, hold up. But it's kind of nice not to have the answers to everything. And I don't know, leaves room for who knows, exploration in whatever way they want. And I like when audience members can also fill in pieces for themselves and make the narrative their own a little bit too. I
And
don't
we
know if
did
that was
see
any sort of like advice, but
it's very useful because it's advice to be okay with that as an option and like look at the things that allows in your game when you don't end up like
Yeah.
that's a great
Yeah,
way
I
to look at it.
guess I think what I'd say is actually, yeah, even if you don't have like a full, like super in-depth, like that's okay too. Like you don't have to tell your story in the exact same way as someone else. It doesn't make it any, less or more effective. There's different ways to do all of these things and different ways to storytell.
Speaking of storytelling, Jasmine, can you talk us through a little bit of maybe what you haven't been able to share before about designing the battles, creating these monsters, setting up the situations, maybe any secrets you've been having to hold back?
Oh, I guess the biggest secret would be that I didn't have time. We didn't have time to play test any of it.
Mm.
So there were a lot of the bosses now that I'm sure you've started seeing them coming out on D&D Beyond, are not completely balanced. I have made balanced bosses before and been commissioned or paid to do so. This was not one of those. And when I told Joe, I was like, some of this stuff might not be balanced. His response was, quote unquote, kill him.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. He's like, so maybe they lose. That's literally his response. It was so good. So I was like, okay, so it's not a big deal. He's like, yeah, maybe they lose. Maybe that's better.
That's dope.
And I was like, okay, sweet. Okay, yeah, maybe they lose. And he's like, only one of them's got to make it.
That
Or maybe they
though.
don't.
Joe was completely correct. Yes. Good.
So there were some bosses that I definitely think like going into them while designing them, I was like kind of in my bag a little bit. Like I was a little bit evil. Y'all never got to see the fight with Philindar, but Philindar is a monk who can heat metal. So he was going to be throwing pots, pans, ladles, and forks that were molten metal at the party. Like,
Oh,
and he was gonna do it with like the quickness. It was gonna be he was gonna
amazing.
dual wield pans that were like burning hot and just pummel the crap out of you guys. And I don't know where I got the idea from. I think it was like so many of the bosses are like inspired by pieces of media that me or Joe liked. So the line was a reference to an NPC from one of Joe's games that I was like, okay, we got to give this guy like the predator treatment, you know? Like we got to come in, we got to like give him traps and things like that and put him in this like really cool arena. And then he made a joke about a sitar and I was like, no, let's do that. Like the way you're describing it sounds kind of weird. Let me make that cool. So, then I came up with this like angler fish that lures people in and like does this whole thing. And yeah, so many of my boss design ideas come from like what I think would be a nightmare to fight. Or like a hero character I would like to play, and then I build out from there, and, D&D isn't the only thing in my life, I am a big video game nerd, like, I love video games probably more than I like D&D, and I love Warhammer too, and so that comes into it as well, where I will play a game and be like, "What would this boss look like in D&D?" Or, "What would this character look like in D&D?" And I think, some of that informed the boss fights. I'm sure people got it by the end, but the murder hornets were definitely inspired by like the mummy. I was watching it around the time
Yes.
and I was like,
Yes.
imagine if like this giant mouth and all this stuff was happening with bees. Cause that's how my
Let's
brain works.
go.
And I was like, we should do that. We should have a sentient swarm of hornets. And then I think I don't know if that boss is out on D&D Beyond yet, but that boss actually has very cool backstory that Nicole rolled a 20 and got to hear some of that like they're heroes
Amazing.
of the
Yeah.
arena because they came and killed all the locusts and saved the crop. So like they're local heroes, the sentient swarm of bees instead of 2020, which is I live in Washington State, murder hornets that are destroying our local honeybee population and are scary as
Yeah.
hell. I was like, imagine if they came. It was this small of an idea. I was like, imagine if they came and killed all the bastard bugs instead of the sweet little honeybees. And then I was like, imagine if they could like hunt down COVID or something. Like then we would love them. We would welcome them with open
Right?
arms.
Yeah.
And then that turned into that boss.
I feel like that plays to I think
So
one of your
good.
incredible strengths as a DM, I think, is that your world is crystal clear, but there is nothing in it that is simple in terms of the fact that like there are multiple ways you can feel about the contest. There are multiple ways you can feel about the visitors. There are multiple ways
Mhm.
you can feel
Yes.
about the people trapped or coming to the arena. There's always more than one angle or perspective on it. And designing terrifying murder hornets who are local heroes is an incredible example of that. Do you have
You
any
know,
tips?
Amy, I never like knew that about myself except do you remember Roundtable from back in the day on Geek and Sundry?
Yes.
So I was selected for Roundtable. That was my first thing I ever did at Geek and Sundry. And I was one of the DMs they brought in or GMs they brought in for that. And I didn't have time to like tell them about a logo I wanted because each of us had a logo in the back. It was supposed to be something really simple that like told your story. And I didn't come up with I never emailed them. I showed up on set. I was like, oh God, I don't know what's gonna be on my banner. And it's 3 bronze cogs. And I was like, oh my gosh, this like works. Like this, I can tell that this is my banner. And they were like, yeah, that's your banner. And I asked the producer, I think it was Eddie Doty, and he's like, oh yeah, Marisha like handpicked you for this. And the thing she said is, Jasmine is, first of all, a goblin, so that's why we had to go with cogs. But second of all, she has a lot of moving pieces in her campaign, but they all somehow fit together. And that's why I chose the 3 cogs. So, like, you saying that, I never realized that about myself until other people say, like, it's like a million cogs, but they do all click together. It's just a little bit chaotic when you look at them as individual parts.
Beautiful perfection. So much fun to watch, which I think our audience can attest to. And I'm realizing that I wrote like 5 hours of questions, and I don't get to keep going that long. So I'm gonna share with the chat because y'all have a lot of great questions as well. Let's see.
While you
Okay.
pick, I'm gonna
throw some-
yell. Can I just say really quick, my favorite
Yeah.
moment was
Yes, please.
Merdina meeting Pelodio. It's my favorite thing. It's so good. And I just had to say that out loud because that was the cutest scene I've ever seen in my life. And watching the table absolutely flip out the entire time was so great on the rewatch. Hello?
It was perfect. No. It was so hard to keep it together too. It was like, oh my God, how am I going to get anything done? And literally nothing else anyone else says now matters other than this fish.
Which, if you saw YouTube
Just-
chat, you were not alone. Very much everyone immediately charmed by. Do the voice for 1 sec, Jasmine. Can we?
But
hear
Pelodio?
Yes!
Yes.
Pelodio's a little
And they were-
fortunate.
Oh.
Nicole keeps tapping on my glass.
No. Yeah,
another-
there were people in chat. There were people in chat that were like, "Oh, well, as soon as the charm drops, though, is that Radina's gonna start attacking." I was like, "Are you kidding? Charmed or not, nothing changed in what I was gonna do."
I will also say that like y'all were a masterclass player-wise watching you go through that encounter because you were playing I have not been given a reason to join in this fight yet, and Econ was playing I don't even want to be here. And those are 2 things that are very tough to do
Yo,
in
Econ
cooperative
had
games, but
top tier melanated dad energy that entire
Yo,
time.
Sleep Party is the greatest rant.
Yeah.
It's a sleep party.
It was so it was so good. It was
So
so
good.
good.
you were so generous with each other as players that it felt, at least from the outside, like it all worked beautifully because you were making this picture together and you did not need to necessarily all be on the same page in character to make that work.
Totally. Yes.
All right. We had I'm gonna go as quickly as I can because y'all have amazing questions. And we have about 10 minutes. Dreaming Revenge. What was the idea behind Merdina and her backstory? Also for Aabria and her character Cestia. You've already answered this to a certain extent, but if there's anything you're holding back, Josephine.
Well, do I want to reveal? Because not everything was revealed. Actually, a lot was not revealed. So, do we want to reveal stuff that wasn't in the show? Or do we
Yeah,
want to
say
hold
don't
on to it? You
answer.
know,
That's spicy. I like
I
that.
feel like, yeah, the tidbits you got is that, that's seen lots of violence and loss of life, right? And uh, that's really all you know, though. She's sad about it. That's all we got. When we were talking about borrowing from media, though, I forgot to say when I was making Radina, I like to pull from media as well, and I was just like, uh, um, I was just making essentially a riff on Thor is Radina. Anyway.
I didn't catch it, but that's perfect. Aabria, anything you didn't share about the inspiration?
Season 2. Move along.
I mean, the end credits did say the battle will continue in 2022, and people in my chat were like, "So when's season 2?" And I was like, "There's a season 2?"
Look,
I know. Yeah, I was surprised too.
What?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, same.
Like, Amy, Joe?
I can neither confirm
the
nor
tweets?
deny, other than you definitely all saw that end card, and today's stream is focused on the 6-parter that we just did, but, we all saw what we saw, and I'm excited.
I saw that and I went, oh, I must have missed an email. Hold on.
Yeah, same. I went scouring because I saw a tweet and I was like, what?
They're like, Battle for the Cosmos 2022. See you there, Bronze. I'm like, see me there. I didn't get an email from Joe or Amy. They probably got Matthew Mercer to do this one. I don't know.
Look, I love Matt to pieces, but I will punch him in the face. You need to run this. This is your world. It's perfect and you're perfect.
I was just confused. Like, what? What do you mean see me in 2022? Where?
Somewhere on the internet at some point.
I think, Jasmine, you kind of covered this from Dream and Revenge as well. How was it creating the line? It gave me video game boss vibes. You very accurately, well picked up on Dreaming Revenge. And just DMs, please be inspired by Jasmine, the way she thinks about environment, the way she thinks about different play styles, the way she draws from other things. Like, just, steal it all. I can say that. I'm not you. Let's see. Abyssal Icarus loved the interactions between Radina and Velodio so much. Not a halfway for Jasmine. What was your favorite NPC to play? Also, how dare you be so incredible at switching between such dynamic characters?
My favorite to play is probably, oh gosh. There's so many that are fun. Probably the architect, Abaddon. I like him a lot. I think he's a generally cool guy, and sometimes when you meet an outsider, the party immediately hates them or wants to fight them, but everyone immediately liked him, and I kind of liked playing him. I kind of like playing this big man, big energy. It was fun to play him. So
I love that. And it gave us, of course, several very awesome different kinds of relationships with the party.
And our first sex scene. So
yo, that was so rad.
Which I have to get more of table 1 in with the, I got to get everybody back to just be like, because it was so much fun for us watching episodes 1 and 2. And Jasmine, I have to hope to be like, cannot wait for these sets of people to meet each other, because they have all made such amazing choices and leaning in slightly different directions.
You're a big bad eyebrow daddy. As soon as you said that, I was like,
incredible.
I just lost my shit.
Look, we walked into the second episode taping and we were like, oh, I bet table 1's super horny. Okay, let's see if we can just kind of match the vibe. And then when it all shook out, we're like, oh no, we are. Oh God, they're so wholesome.
Oh no.
Anyway, want to stay horny? Cool.
Yeah. But then we had Lenore with maybe the darkest of the stories.
Yes.
And then, Econ, who might have switched sides if it hadn't been for Layla, and Layla, who might have been lost if it hadn't been for Econ. Y'all, I'm sorry, I'm just a big fan of the show, is the thing. So I'm going to Chris Farley on y'all for a second. Your show was real good. How did you do that?
Oh my gosh.
Let's see. Kimberlyn Kachu says the monsters were so cool. I have a request for a chorus of
Oh, if we all
Oh.
do it, should we do it on 3? There's probably a
Yeah.
delay.
Yeah.
Let's see
Right.
what
Okay.
happens. 1,
1,
2.
2, 3.
Flip it
That's
out.
not
I
synced
want
up
to see
at
what happened.
all.
At all. I do make that sound
Look, we tried.
walking through the world though, for what it's worth. It's just really
Yeah, that's
cute.
how
And I
you
think
found
about
me
it a
at PAX
lot.
Unplugged. We were just
Yeah.
just through the halls. Yeah.
Hello?
Aabria!
Nomad Dice
I
says,
like
love Jasmine's DM style. And Mahima MS says, that bronze girl, how did you handle as quickly as possible? Sorry, the combat where half the party was in the mirror dimension and the other
Yeah.
in the grotto. They had such different aesthetics and such different monsters,
Yeah.
legendary actions, etc.
Yeah. That's why I drop rules sometimes, okay? Because listen, you can either have a very narratively rich, well-paced combat, or you can have every single rule adhered to. So get off my ass about the concentration, double concentration spells, and understand I had a lot going on because they split the party. And I had to run 2 boss fights at the same time. So Joe and Amy know what I was going through because that was 2 boss fights. So be nice, but also that's how you do that. You be nice to yourself.
Be your own inner voice, being like, would I give another DM shit who is trying to handle this? Maybe I should lay off on me. Yeah. We got a monsters. Let's see. You've got that one. Ooh, okay. Last question. Dennis Schaap, now that the show is finished, would you have made any changes to your character choices? This is a very Battle for Beyond question.
Mhm.
Any changes to what? To
Your character choices.
I'm gonna say no because I think she Sestia leaned in exactly where she needed to and where it was like good for party balance. I would have let her die though. She could have just died in the mirror dimension. It's my only regret.
Well, I would not have been okay, so I'm just gonna. I understand that sometimes stories require that, but I object.
I'm kidding.
Listen, Aabria, if you didn't come back for season 2, I would have
I could have been a
flipped the
backup.
table. Oh yeah. Okay, never mind. I wish you died too.
Yeah.
And we could
That
have
means I
had
could
Just
just
like
sit next to
some.
you. Oh yeah, sorry. Answer.
Yeah.
Oh
No,
no,
sorry.
I don't know. I don't know that I would have. I probably just would have had made Merdina maybe a little more aggressive at times. Maybe more. That was more just like Josephine's anxiety holding me back, though. We all have the. I think that there are certain moments where there's a little more. She doesn't think things through necessarily before she does them, which may be why she's there in the first place. But
Jasmine, if you were going back in time and made a change,
No, it all shook out perfectly. There was a lot at the time I think I would have. But now I think it all worked out, and I think people we got a good story. And so there are things going into season 2 I will retool a little differently. But yeah.
and that we have to let Jasmine get out of here. So thank you so much for joining us today. Where can the people find you for more good stuff until such time as there might be more to say about Battle for Beyond?
Who goes first?
I'll have you go first.
Bria, go.
And then, all right.
No, you go.
Gives
You
choice.
go. Okay, I'll go. Hi, I'm Aabria. You can follow me on social media at Quiddy. There's a lot of stuff. It doesn't matter. I'll tweet about it eventually. So just follow me there and I'll tell you what I do.
Boom, boom, boom. Hearing so many cool things.
Oh, thanks.
Hi, I'm Jasmine, that bronze girl Bhullar. I stream 6 days a week at that bronze girl on Twitch. You can follow me on Twitter. I've also been using Instagram more, and I found out apparently I take some pretty great photos. So you can follow me there too. I just got to be on Acquisitions Incorporated, which was super exciting. I place Omen Drawn's daughter, Certainty Drawn. That's super fun. Everything else I'm working on is super NDA right now. But just keep an eye on the social medias in the first quarter of next year. because it may or may not be really busy in January and February. That's all I'm gonna say.
Excellent. Josephine, where can people find you?
Hi. At JCVIM. Everywhere, basically. Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and then otherwise just checking out the IMDb for film work if that's your jam. Yeah. Everything's on the
And
social media.
full disclosure, you are one of my favorite performers in the world. So anyone who's watched Battle will already know this, but like go find everything that all of these people do because it is so worth your time. And you maybe have some time because the holidays are coming up. And it's possible that things have, you might need to binge a bunch of stuff if you are already done with Battle for Beyond. So here are some amazing options that you should definitely go check out. And that is going to bring us to the close of our final D&D Beyond Live for 2021. A quick reminder that if you give a gift on D&D Beyond during this holiday season, you will get a gift. You will get some gift-wrapped dice. And that counts buying yourself stuff. You can get a gift that, it's just, it all works. It all works. You could pick up some Battle for Beyond dice for somebody and get yourself a gift, a thing that you can do. They're very pretty. I know I'm biased.
These are dice.
They really are.
Use my dice.
Yeah. We'll
I
get
would
some
say-
Radina dice.
I love the Radina dice. They have not betrayed me yet.
Ooh, good. Yeah.
I want to say a big thank
Why
you
would they?
for a year of amazing streams. Obviously, this is the year that I joined the team here, and you all, the audience watching and hanging out with us for these, have been amazing companions through this journey as we got to launch stuff that we love and are excited about, like Battle for Beyond. Thank you to all of you for watching. Thank you to our incredible mods, both here and on YouTube, for making these some of the most fun spaces that you can possibly be in to celebrate this stuff that we all love together. They work incredibly hard. Respect the mods. And I think that was the rest of my list. Thank you for this year. We will see you in 2022. See you next time.
It's D&D.